Well, it's another day and another leak from OpenAI. So I've been asked to comment on the strawberry leak. Now, if you're not familiar with this, basically Bloomberg reported that there was an internal all hands meeting at OpenAI and some kind of demo about reasoning. And a lot of people are saying that it was human level reasoning, logicking, that sort of thing. This follows some of the leaks about QStar late last year, and a lot of it seems to be pretty consistent. So the general consensus right now is that Strawberry is a continuation of the QStar project. Now, if you remember my commentary and a lot of other people's commentary on QStar, it really seems like QStar was an internal search algorithm, basically a pathfinding way of looking at logic and reasoning. It could have also been an internal prompting strategy or that sort of thing. Now, one thing that I want to say is as I've been kind of digesting this news, is there's been a lot of consistency. So one of the things that Sam Altman has been saying for a little while now is that AI would one day have the ability to conduct research. And this is kind of one of the tipping points that a lot of people are looking for as kind of a milestone for when things really might start to accelerate. Now, even if AI conducting research on its own might not accelerate AI that much. It could certainly accelerate lots of other kinds of research. Because right now, last I checked, there's something like 8 million PhDs in the world. So imagine the marginal cost and the time to create a new PhD goes down from 8 years and $100,000 worth of school to a few dollars a day to run. And so then effectively we go from 8 million PhDs in the world to 500 million, a billion PhDs in the world. That could drastically accelerate a tremendous amount of science. So this has been relatively consistent on the messaging from people like Sam Altman for the last couple of years, where one of the things that Sam says is like, or what he did say, I think it was about 2 years ago, about almost exactly 2 years ago, summer 2022, if I remember correctly. He said something to the effect of, AI can't invent new physics yet. And so what really heartens me is knowing that it seems like he and Ilya and others kind of set this as an internal mission or goal for OpenAI, which was, okay, in order to really accelerate things, we need to get to the point where AI is able to conduct research fully autonomously. Now, part of what the super alignment team, which of course was recently disbanded at OpenAI, part of the goal of what the super alignment team was supposed to do was to automate alignment research. Now, I wrote a pretty long article about why I suspect OpenAI has abandoned that line of research. The link is to my Substack if you want to read the full thing. But the very short version is that I suspect that basically Sam Altman and others realized that the chances of runaway AGI or rogue AGI or feral AGI is actually relatively low. Now, that's that's my personal opinion. That's me reading between the lines and kind of reading the tea leaves. Now, another way that you could read it a little bit more cynically, and I think a lot of you in the audience will perhaps agree with this, is that maybe Sam Altman was always a mercenary and he was really just looking for power and money, and now that he's entrenched with Microsoft and the Department of Defense and has joined the military-industrial complex, it's just a mask-off moment where he just wants more money and power. It could be both, and it could also be something else. But here's the thing, is if we are getting close to the point where AI is able to perform better reasoning, perform research on its own without human help, again, this is pure speculation, so this is all hypothetical. If we are getting to that point, we might be closer to a tipping point where it's like, okay, autonomous agents are, able to do a little bit more interesting things. One thing is still going to be scale and cost, because right now it's a very small minority of people around the world using these tools. If we need to scale up by 20x, 50x, 100x in order to meet the unmet demand, then we don't have enough data centers for that. So there's going to be a little bit of time. And this is also hearkening back to something that Sam Altman said is one of the reasons that he's not afraid of fast takeoff, is because it takes time to build the chips. It takes time to build the fabs. It takes time to pour the concrete for the data centers. And one thing that I've pointed out to and discussed with other people in this space is that it really does take a little bit of time to do a lot of these things. Time, power, money, water. There's a lot of points of friction. So, anyways, is Strawberry going to be like this next big thing? Is it going to be integrated into GPT-5? We do get some inconsistent messaging from OpenAI regarding this, because you might have seen they created a little framework of like 5 steps towards machine intelligence, and the last step is organizations, where basically machine intelligence is able to do everything that a corporation can do. Now, that's a really interesting way of looking at it, and a lot of that has to do more with software architecture and infrastructure than it does with the intelligence of the models. Obviously, you do need models that are intelligent enough, but even if you have PhD level models, if they don't know how to talk to each other and they don't have access to the correct resources or the correct context and the correct information coming in and out of their architectures, it doesn't really matter, because then it's basically just a brain in a jar. Now, what's really interesting to me is, and a lot of you in the audience have talked about this in the comments when I've posted polls, is that it really does seem like we're going to get to AGI and then ASI in a relatively quick succession. Now, Leopold Aschenbrenner and other people have said 2027, which is obviously a little bit later than what I suspected. However, if Strawberry and GPT-5 are what people think that they might be, we could still be on deck to have AGI this year. Now, again, there's going to be problems with deployment, and I'll be talking about deployment and integration and the friction of that, not to mention just the cost of scaling. So anyways, this is my very quick response to Strawberry. Obviously, it's all speculation at this point, but when you take a big step back and look at the last 2 to 3 years, look at the messaging coming from people like Sam Altman, Ilya Sutskever, Mira Murati, and Greg Brockman, a little bit from Greg Brockman. When you look at the messaging from those people, there's little clues here and there about where their mind is, what the benchmarks are, and the yardsticks that they're looking for. And it really does seem like they have been focused, pretty laser focused on reasoning and, in specific, autonomous research as kind of their lighthouse on the horizon that they're aiming towards. If they achieve it, now, of course, this could be hype. It could be a fake leak. Who knows? We had the Q-Star leak late last year. Not really much came of it so far, so clearly something is going on behind closed doors. Maybe they did make some progress, because one thing that you might have remembered from the Q-Star leak, now granted this is likely fully debunked, was that the NSA was interested in OpenAI's work on Q-Star. Now the NSA is America's signals branch, so basically hacking, encryption, decryption, that sort of thing. That could be fully fake. Who knows? There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of hype out there. But, you see enough positive signals out there, you start getting a cluster of data points. Some of them are bad, some of them are good in terms of reliability, and we'll go from there. So time will tell. Again, I'm not going to hold my breath one way or another. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get AGI until 2027. I also wouldn't be surprised if we have ASI in 2027 and we have AGI this year. I also do feel like there's a lot of growing friction in terms of the economics of scaling, in terms of the nitty-gritty, the practical deployment of AI and scaling up the capacity to really change the world. But, if we have PhD level, AI by, the end of this year or end of next year, it's certainly going to be a very interesting time. So I'll just leave you with that thought. And of course, I'll update you if I get any more information. So thanks for watching. Cheers.